Hello, denizens of the internet. Well, as you can see, I'm not back at my fortress of solitude, but I promise I will be soon. I did, as most of you know, a follow-up to the first episode of Season 2, Strange New Worlds, for reasons I still don't understand. Why make 2 videos about a show I didn't like? Exactly. Then I reviewed the miserable attempt at courtroom drama in episode 2. The logical thing would have been to let it go. You've already commented that I'm spending too much time on this dreck, but just like a scab, I can't stop picking at it. The episode called Ad Astra per Aspera featured the fate of Una's future on the Enterprise. It lived or died on its own merits, but I couldn't help thinking about 2 of the other famous Star Trek trial episodes, TOS's Court Martial and TNG's The Measure of a Man. I didn't compare the 3 in my review because it would have tripled the length of the video, but it did give me the urge to re-watch Measure and Court Martial, and they are so immeasurably better than SNW's Ad Astra per Aspera that I thought it would be worth a comparison video. We all might learn something from this exercise. Everyone except for the producers of Strange New Worlds. I have come to the conclusion that while the producers really do try to steal, come up with their own unique stories, their intersectional social agenda drives their decisions, and this is why we get such mediocre, juvenile work. That isn't to say that all agendas are bad. Writing about racism, of course, is a noble ideal if you're Sterling Siliphant, but not these clowns. Earlier treks were filled with allegorical stories. We know what the endings are going to be for all 3 of these shows. We know Una is going to win her case. We know Kirk is not going to get court-martialed. We know Data will not get disassembled. Oh, did I warn there will be spoilers? Anyway, the important part is how you get there, and if the twists and turns leading up to the ending are satisfying, then the ending is just the ending. The verdict is the least important scene in a trial episode. In Ad Astra, you could just tell that the final verdict was an emotional experience rivaling Spencer Tracy's Inherit the Wind. We know the outcome, for crying out loud. We don't care. If you haven't seen Ad Astra yet, that was a good decision. Its crime was that it was dull and boring, and we didn't care about Una's fate. Court Martial, Measure, and Ad Astra all featured a main character, Kirk, Data, and Una. That was fine. That's what's expected. The next issue is that the level of gravity of the crime or situation. Kirk is accused of negligence in killing a crew member and lying about it, threatening his court-martial. In Measure, a jealous scientist wants to disassemble and study Data against Data's and everyone else's wishes. And in Ad Astra, Una will have to leave Starfleet because she lied about being augmented, which everyone knew was illegal. I think we can agree that Ad Astra is by far the weaker scenario. But isn't Una's and Kirk's punishment the same? Yes, essentially, but we can argue Kirk's fall is greater. He's a starship captain. He killed a man, right? Una knew what she did was illegal and was waiting for the axe to fall. No matter how many dewy-eyed supporters Una had on the Enterprise, it's just not very dramatic. In TNG's Measure, we get introduced to a hard-assed JAG prosecutor, Philippa Lavoie, who had a relationship and a serious professional confrontation with Picard, which was a great setup, but still has the hots for him. She is the by-the-books adjudicator who will decide whether to keep Data whole, who has also deputized Picard to be the defense. That's a serious date killer. In court-martial, Kirk meets up with a former love interest who refuses his advances because it turns out she's the prosecuting attorney. Ouch! In Ad Astra, Pike is tasked with visiting the stylish office of Illyrian super lawyer Nira Khatul, who refuses to take the case because Una and her apparently had a falling out. I'm sure Pike could have found another defense lawyer with just as good a Yelp score. But no, he begs her to defend Una because she's the bestest, in a very unsatisfying scene. And that's pretty much it for Pike, ostensibly the main character in Strange New Worlds, who's never the main character in Strange New Worlds. I'll let you in on a secret. It's La'an. As I said in my review, there was fabricated tension between Una and Nira that they turned into a mystery box. Frankly, it would have been better to know they were lovers from the start. In court-martial, we get Sam Cogley, the quirky, not very attractive, not female, not black defense attorney who gets a ripping speech. Now, I have something to talk about, sir. Human rights, the Bible, the Code of Hammurabi and of Justinian, Magna Carta, the Constitution of the United States, fundamental declarations of the Martian colonies, the statutes of Alpha 3. Gentlemen, these documents all speak of rights. Rights of the accused to a trial by his peers, to be represented by counsel, the rights of cross-examination, but most important, the right to be confronted by the witnesses against him, a right to which my client has been denied. Then the prosecutor interrupts and says that her learned opponent had a chance to cross-examine everyone. Cogley responds with, all but one. The most devastating witness against my client is not a human being. It's a machine, an information system, a computer log of the Enterprise. I request we reconvene on the Enterprise. I speak of rights. A machine has none. A man must. My client has the right to face his accuser. And if you do not grant him that right, you have brought him down to the level of the machine. Indeed, you have elevated that machine above us. We are fading in the shadow of the machine. It's a great speech that he performed much better than I just did. But my video now won't get demonetized. And unlike Nira's address in Ad Astra, say that 20 times, Cogley is not arguing against the validity of the law. He demands that Kirk has a right to face his accuser, the Enterprise's computer. Even now, that's a pretty good speech. But back in 1967, those were powerful ideas that we can thank the writers Don Mankiewicz and Steve Karabatsos. Picard delivers a Shakespearean speech worthy of, well, Patrick Stewart, who spent a lot of time doing Shakespeare. And no matter how good an actress Yetide Badaki is, she's not Stewart, and who had the benefit of a better script written by Melinda M. Snodgrass. The other thing court-martial and Measure did was star their main characters, supporting characters, because that's what TV shows do. Spock and Bones were deeply involved in Kirk's story. Riker was seconded as the prosecutor against Data and Picard. That's what we pay to see. Court-martial showcased Spock's deductive reasoning, whereas SNW made a complete fool of their Spock because I don't know why. These people are sick. Of the three trial shows, Measure was by far the best for a couple of reasons. One, they had a true bad guy in Maddox, the dude who wanted to fricassee Data. Two, Data looked to have gotten a reprieve by quitting Starfleet, only to find out that he was deemed property of Starfleet and must go with Maddox for disassembly. Riker's brilliant prosecution that Data was no more than a toaster with the dramatic Pinocchio ending was a gut punch. Picard's aforementioned heroic defense was based on the notion that a single Data was a curiosity, but thousands would be a race, and the decisions made in that court will forever affect sentient androids for all time. And because of that, Lavoie ruled that Data must be left to choose his own fate. It's a great turn. Maddox, in defeat, absent-mindedly called Data a he and not an it. A nice touch. There's an excellent denouement between Data and Riker that elevates this episode further, which I won't go into. Court-martial's climactic scene on the bridge of the Enterprise, where McCoy silences everyone's heartbeat, the censors pick up the one remaining sound, the heartbeat of the in-hiding Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Finney, who faked his death to frame and disgrace Kirk, and as a bonus, crashed the Enterprise. However, what follows is a dreadful extended fight between Kirk and a maniacal and really sweaty Finney, with one of the worst displays of stunt double work in the history of Hollywood. But as bad as that was, I'm not sure it was worse than being forced to watch Pike and the remaining crew of the Enterprise follow Una's adventures on pay-per-view. That was irredeemably boring. And the main thing that made Ad Astra unsatisfying was that they didn't find the solution within the original charge. The one sane person, the mean male Vulcan prosecutor, said it succinctly. The defense wants you to ignore the facts in favor of emotion. But the only matter of import today is the law. Una Chin Riley broke the law and lied about it. Yes, the man got it right. And because that was not solvable, the writers took us on a detour with an asylum diversion. Apparently, people fearing for their life could seek safety in Starfleet and request asylum. Neera then delivered an emotional plea, supported by swelling background music, referencing racism, phobia, slavery, and incidents that sounded a lot like Kristallnacht. While it was a decent, tear-jerking moment, it had nothing to do with the crime. But apparently, it was good enough for the judge to let Una off. It made no sense. But then again, this series rarely makes sense. It would have been rational to put Una on probation for her subterfuge, but that wouldn't have been the big emotional win the writers wanted. By not solving the original puzzle as court-martial and Measure had, Ad Astra robbed us from joining in its fabricated victory. That's it for me. Have you seen all three shows? I look forward to your comments. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.